So I want to talk a little bit about the doors and windows, because that was a huge, something that we we knew that we were going to spend a little bit more on the doors and windows, and it was important to us, the amount of glass, the quality of natural light that I talked about. But we used, this is a European style window and doors. Really important to us to have high quality. This is a triple pane unit. The spacer between the glass is 5/8 instead of 3/8. You get more airspace. So the U value on these windows is about 0.1, anywhere between 0.1 and 0.15. So from a R value perspective, if you're looking at a wall that's R10, U value is really the inverse of that. So a 0.1 window would be equivalent to an R10 wall. So what that does is it gives us a very even temperature along the elevation of the building. So in many homes, if you're in front of a window or a door, it feels cold or it feels drafty, because if the R value is not very high, you start getting convection air movement. And with a window like this, you virtually eliminate that. So it feels very comfortable next to a piece of glass, similar to how it would with a wall. So what that does, it makes the windows and the doors very thick, very heavy. So you might have noticed the front entry door feels a little bit like a bank vault when you close it. I like to joke around the airtightness of a house like this, or of other projects that we're working on in the office. If you shut the door too quickly, you flush a toilet somewhere else in the house. It's extremely tight. When we turn on our hood vent when we're cooking, it actually is hard to open the garage door. You hear it sucking. Because we're evacuating 400 CFM, and then the house is basically depressurized. So nobody's had any complaints of ringing ears yet, but it's very tight, and that's what's important to us. So John, I'm just going to demonstrate this window. So the European style windows are tilt-turn style. So what we're used to with American manufacturers is double hung, which we really try to avoid at all costs if we can. They're just terribly inefficient windows. But crank style casement windows are what we see in the US typically. And these doors and windows, they actually tilt in at the top for ventilation. And then you turn the handle another 90 or 45 degrees, and then it opens like a door. So really the quality of these is pretty incredible. You don't just have one or two locking points around this window, around a typical window, but for this one you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when you lock this window in place, the entire sash gets pulled in evenly. And the other thing to note is there's two seals on all the doors and windows. So you get kind of 2 layers of protection. The other, and screens, you might wonder about screens. The screens go on the outside. They clip on. So we don't have any screens on yet, but I think in the next few weeks we will. This is a wood window. So wood on the inside, wood on the outside. A lot of times we're doing aluminum clad windows, so they're clad on the exterior, so it still look like this on the inside, but aluminum clad on the exterior. We also look sometimes at PVC windows, which a lot of these manufacturers use, and those can be quite comparable. We get really excited when we can find super high performing doors and windows, so we can keep a lot of glass and not have to sacrifice comfort. So the other thing is sliders are, doors, sliders are a big part of our projects. We're always wanting to kind of maintain that indoor to outdoor continuity. So this is a lift and slide. So when you actually engage the door, the whole door actually goes up about 1/4 of an inch. And when it goes up, it really slides quite easily. And when you lock it, it actually just drops down on a double seal on the floor. So you can't move it now. So this seals on all 4 sides. A typical slider that many of us are used to, it just slides on one track, and there's these little brush sweeps on the bottom, and it's always allowing cold air to come in. you just can't get good air seal, air tightness with products like that. I want to talk about the floors. We have two kinds of floor in this house, actually three. We have a radiant concrete slab. So basically from this kind of structural line over, this part of the house is a structural slab. So we don't have a basement on this side of the house. This is built right on grade. So this is a 5-inch concrete slab. We ran radiant tubing through it. And then from the wood floor over is where we have a basement. And flooring was, I would say windows and flooring were the two things that were really important to my wife and I. So we knew we wanted to spend a little bit more on a really great high quality wood flooring that we really loved. So we did a wide plank walnut flooring with just a clear finish, and we used this throughout the project. The concrete is just a hand trowel. So we didn't want it to feel like a Costco or a Walmart. We wanted to have a little bit more of a hand appearance to it. We stained it black and then just put a wax finish on it. So it feels it's super durable. We don't really care what the kids do from this line over. You know, with a 3-year-old son, yeah, just crayon marks everywhere. So you'll notice fingerprints, scratches, dents. So try to ignore those things. The other thing you'll notice in here are the ceilings. So we wanted to enhance that indoor to outdoor connection. So all the soffits outside are using this. This is the same cedar that it's on the soffits on the outside. So we actually brought it in, and what we did is we highlighted basically the primary circulation path along the building with this wood ceiling, and did these little 1-watt kind of constellation of lights. And there's 60 dots of light. So the entire length of the house is the equivalent of one 60-watt light bulb. And primarily that's what we have on until we go to bed. You turn those off. It feels kind of like a starlight. Those little things, kind of bringing a little bit of warmth and that kind of exteriorized element to the interior, really do a good job of making the building feel like it's better connected to the exterior. The white drywall ceilings are just totally standard, very basic lighting. So there are things in this house where we have very standard elements like baseboards and light switches, because really, again, the things that were important to us were things like, you know, the floors, the deck, the wood elements, and the glass. What you're going to notice in this house is we don't have any huge spaces. There's no great room. There's no huge spaces. And that really was personal to us. A lot of our projects do have these large spaces that have kitchen, dining, living. For us and the way that we live, this layout actually made more sense. I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but I basically just wanted to say that the scale of these rooms are, they're comfortable for a family, and if we have another family over or grandparents, it feels intimate in these spaces, and that's really what we were looking for. But the kitchen is 13 feet wide, and it aligns with a 13-foot wide slider directly to a deck that goes out 16 feet and then right to the yard. So for us, this relationship of cooking, dining, outdoor dining, and then one step to the grass was really important. We didn't want to have a stairway going down to another level. We just wanted it to be easy. So my wife, this is her favorite area because she can be doing things here or sitting at the table, and she can just watch the kids in the backyard. It's very easy. So that was a big part of the driver for us, was kind of optimizing the way that we wanted to live. And then we'll go back here, but we're not going to be able to talk back there. But the mudroom, it's just not big enough. The mudroom was an area where we spent a lot of time. I still wish we had done, somebody's going to ask me what I would have done differently, and it's we would have done a bigger laundry room. That was something that we kind of knowingly made small. We didn't want to have something big, but we made it a little too tight. I still hear about that. So, but that back mudroom entry, that kind of side door to the garage, you come in, there's a powder room, so a toilet and sink. there's cubbies for kids, there's hanging, and then a door that goes straight outside. And the laundry room door is there as well. So it's like the kids can come in, drop all their stuff, and then just go right out. And that really was, that's really the way when the weather gets a little warmer. And even in the winter, that's where they put on their snow pants and they go right out to the backyard. We have quartz counters, so white on the perimeter, kind of this medium gray on the island. But this is just a painted cabinet in the center, and then we have a walnut veneer cabinet on the perimeter. We really eliminated all of our upper cabinets. We don't do those very much anymore. A lot of people are used to having tons and tons of upper cabinets, but for us, we wanted to have lots of glass instead of upper cabinets, so we did this little Butler Pantry, we call it. So there's sort of another kind of run of cabinets, and there's uppers in there. So that's where the microwave is. That's where we put the toaster, the coffee maker, stuff that we don't want to look at, and we can keep this really clean. And when we're entertaining, we can put dishes and, stuff around the corner that we don't want to look at all the time. But this is a quartz counter. We found this live edge walnut slab from a mill in Indiana, and he shipped it up, and I had some kind of custom steel legs made for it. You'll see a number of steel elements in the house, a shelf, there's a mantle, things that we did here locally, but the slab came from Indiana. We wanted to find the widest slab that we could find, so this is about 46 inches at its widest point.
What's this made of?
This is just an MDF, so it's just like it's a medium density fiberboard. So it's kind of like wood, but it's compressed wood, and it's just painted. So just a painted. It's basically the same as what this lower cabinet is made of. But this is where our two daughters sit every day. They eat breakfast, they eat dinner here, and when our son can resist turning around and messing with everything on the counter, he can go there too.
Since the house is sealed so tightly, do you have special considerations in place for fresh air exchange?
Yeah, we do. We have an ERV system in the house, so energy recovery ventilator. So you see an outlet on the ceiling there, that round thing. We have 5 places in the house where we're drawing the stale air out. It gets exchanged in the unit in the basement, in the lower level, and then it delivers fresh air through the HVAC ductwork. In this room, it's interesting, the HVAC was kind of interesting here because it's expensive to take ductwork underneath the concrete slab. And so what we did was we brought the HVAC over the top of this space. And so there's actually a plenum of air above this wood ceiling, which is why it's dropped about 3 inches. There's actually a gap you can see there. So the heat and the AC actually gets delivered in the center of this, and then it spills out over the 2 sides. So in the summertime, it's perfect because we're actually cooling the air cooling the room from above. It's where you want to cool it from, and then we have the radiant slab. So in the wintertime, the air basically never comes on this side of the house. It's really just the slab, and we have it zoned. So the upper level, the master has its own zone. The kids' rooms has its own zone, and then the lower level. The range hood has a limit on it. Once you get over 400 CFM, you have to bring makeup air into the house somehow. We absolutely did not want to do that. It's a terrible waste of energy to bring in like an 8-inch round duct of cold air and then have to heat it with an electric element or some other element. So we just made sure that our hood range was less than 400 CFM. And it's ducted to the exterior. So, okay. So down here we have the mudroom, and then we have a little room at the end, which is kind of the kids' art room space. That was actually going to be my office. And I could tell about halfway through construction that it was going to get taken over. So I actually added that little volume directly above it, kind of midway through construction. So that little room above is actually not SIPs. It's just a 2x6 framed room with foam insulation. And to me, this is one of the kind of huge advantages of SIPs, that room is actually the coldest room in the house, which is great for me because I like it cold and I'm happy with it being cooler. But that room, I can feel drafts in that room and I can't anywhere else in the house. So it kind of bothers me, but I'm okay with it because it's my own space. So I have a little kind of a ship's ladder going up there. It's an 8x16 space, so it's just my home office where I can get work done basically after everybody else is in bed. And then there's actually a door going out onto the green roof, and you'll see the green roof. It's basically over this entire walkway. There's a green roof outside, and I can get access to the green roof from my office.